Hello. Thank you. Thank you. They're up here snapping on my Oscar edition Air Jordans. Given to me, gifted me by the great Michael Jordan for this occasion. Don't hate. But what an honor. Look at this. Denzel, my Morehouse brother, Samuel Jackson, Wesley Snipes. God damn. Shit. All right, well, I gotta, you know, you guys, when you chose that song, A Change to Come, yeah, it's been a long time coming. So I want to thank Cheryl Boone Isaacs, the president of the Academy of Motion Picture Art and Sciences, trying to bring some flavor up in here. We need some flavor up in here. I want to thank the Board of Governors. I'm very sorry Debbie Reynolds is not here tonight. We'd love to meet her in person. And Jenna, it's an honor. And I know one's done this, but I got to give love to my table because people come a long way. Mr. Gene Friedman, my man, his son Dylan, my agent Tony Howard, and her partner David Yarnell, one of Brooklyn's finest, Mr. John Turturro. My longtime producer, John Killick. The wonderful Latanya Richardson Jackson. Where are you, Latanya? My siblings, David Lee, Sankey Lee, Joie. Now, David, I don't know if you were looking at the photographs earlier. He has been my unit photographer from film school NYU. So all those great photographs of me he took. I told him he needs to make a book. My sister Joie, many of my films. My brother Sankey Lee, who's the videographer. My sister-in-law Trace Elligan. My two children who are now in film school. They go to my alma mater, where I'm a tenured professor. Tenured for 15 years. I've been teaching film at New York University Graduate Film School. So, thank you. My great, wonderful in-laws, George and Lillian. Louis, my father is not able to be here tonight. And then my lovely, strong partner, wife, Tanya. Tanya, stand up. Stand up. Now, if you see my body of work, I call it BT and AT. So you see my body of work before Tanya and after Tanya, dealing with women, you could tell where I got married. So thank you for that. All right, I'm gonna take my time. As they say in church, take your time. A little bit. How'd I get here? Well, I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, but I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. And my mother, my late mother, who died when I was in film school, she was the one her name is Jacqueline Shelton Lee. She was the one that introduced me to film. My father, a great jazz musician, he hated movies. So I was my mother's date. And she would drag me to movies. And so my introduction to Martin Scorsese when she took me to see Mean Streets. Went away to college, alma mater, Sam, Morehouse College. I'm a third generation Morehouse man. My grandfather went to Morehouse. My father went to Morehouse. He was a freshman. Martin Luther King was a senior. And my grandmother and my mother went to Spelman. These are two historic black schools across the street from each other in Atlanta. Georgia. Of course, Sam's wife is from Spelman. So when I went to college, I know what I wanted to do. If I had to go to college, I had to go to Morehouse. So my first 2 years, I was lost in the wilderness. I was a D+, C- student. It wasn't because I was smart, I was just not motivated. So at the end of my sophomore year, my advisor said, before it was time to go back home for the summer, go back to New York, she said, you have to think long and hard about choosing a major. And I said, why? She said, because you had exhausted all your electives. So I came back to New York, the infamous summer of 1977. And I thought, up to that point, you could always get a job in New York. You had your working papers. But that summer, 1977, New York City was broke. There's a famous Daily News front page. Ford the city, that's President Ford, Ford the city dropped dead. There were no jobs. So I did not want to sit on my stoop and play Stratomatic baseball all summer. No one heard about no one played Stratomatic baseball back here? Come on. Somebody. Anyway, my team was the 1953 Brooklyn Dodgers. So that summer, it was crazy. It's really crazy because that summer, I ended up making a film about that summer. Summer Sam's, you never know how this stuff works. So one day, I'm on my stoop, we call them stoops, not porches in Brooklyn. And I'm gonna say, let me go see my friend Vieta Davis. Now, she was very smart. New York City public high schools like this: Stuyvesant, Bronx Science, and Brooklyn Tech. And she was a genius. I mean, right then and there, she knew she wanted to be a doctor. Ended up going to Princeton, then Harvard Med School. She's a doctor now in Chicago. Anyway, I'm gonna say, let me see what she's doing. So I go to her house, and I ring the bell. She says, come on up. And we're sitting in the living room, and in the corner is a box. And I say, what's in the box? She says, the Super 8 camera. I'm gonna be a doctor, so you can have it. And I say, what's in the other box? She says, that's film for Super 8 camera. I'm gonna be a doctor, you can have it. So now I had something to do for the summer. I was not gonna play Stratomatic baseball on the stoop all summer. And so it was a great summer to shoot because a couple of days later, there was a blackout. It's a blackout, and so my father drove me around. We had a Citroen, yellow Citroen station wagon. And so my fellow brothers and sisters, my fellow Puerto Rican brothers and sisters started to loot. I filmed it. I went up to 120th Feature Harlem, filmed the looting. Went to Fulton Street in Brooklyn, choice items with color TVs, wash machines, Pampers, and Walt Frazier Clyde Pumas. And so I filmed that. And then that summer, in summer 1977, was the first summer disco. So every block weekends, people were hooking up their turntable speakers to the street lamps. I was filming that. And then there was a guy named David Berkowitz, son of Sam. So he had most of New York terrified. See, this is before gentrification. So back in 1977, if Son of Sam would have come into Harlem, Bed-Stuy, they would have killed him. Way back before gentrification. So I have all this footage, and I go back to school, and I say, I'm gonna be a mass communications major. And there's a teacher there who's still teaching there today. His name, Dr. Herb Eichelberger. He encouraged me to make a documentary out of this footage. The film was called Last Hustle in Brooklyn. From then, my junior and senior years, I was an A+ student. I was C, yeah. But the reason why I didn't get any smarter, I just was interested. And so I don't say I found film. Film found me. Moving forward, I graduate. I know that story about working your way up from the mailroom doesn't work for black people. So I say, I'm gonna try to go to film school. So I applied to USC and AFI, And I don't get in USC or AFI because I don't have the astronomical score on the GRE. But lucky for me, they had more forward-thinking people at NYU who said whether you get into film school not should be determined by a standardized test. So I got into YU, and that's where I met Ernest Dickerson. Great DP. Ernest and I were the only two people in the program. And we bonded automatically because I went to Morehouse, and he went to Howard. And here's the thing I like to say. The reason Ernest and I were successful is because our parents told us from a very early age that we had to be 10 times better than our white classmates. That just being the same was not going to be enough. That was instilled for me from the beginning, that we as a people here, if you're just trying, you got to be better. You have to extra excel. You have to excel. So,
nothing's changed.
Come on, nothing's changed. That's D right there, the man. So, 3 years of film school. I do a film. My thesis film is called Joe's Best Star Barbershop, and it wins the Student Academy Award. I won the Student Academy Award back in 1983. So I had an agent. Man, I thought that Spielberg was gonna call me, Lucas, Fox, Universal. And I had a little apartment off Myrtle Avenue on Fort Greene before gentrification. So I had now the Student Academy Award is not like this. It's a wooden box with a circle with this on it. So I know for sure, because I have a Student Academy Award, I'm gonna take over Hollywood. But a funny thing happens when you don't pay Ma Bell, you don't pay Con Edison, and you don't pay Brooklyn Union Gas. The phone gets turned off, the heat gets turned off, and lights get turned off. So I was in the darkness, but I had my Student Academy Award. And then I woke up. And so that's when I learned the tough lesson that nothing happens overnight. There's no such thing as overnight success. And that's the biggest thing we do to our young people, and tell them that there's an animal as overnight success. You have to bust your ass, roll up your sleeves, and attack every single day. And that's what I've been telling my film students at NYU for the last 15 years. Let me turn a page here.
How many pages you got, Spike?
2 more, D. So, at this point.
I told you about patience, didn't I? I told you about having a lot of patience when you're working with these guys.
So I like to say, I'm very happy. You know, this is a great night. My family's here, and many friends, people I work with. But it's not been easy. And I'm just as proud as this award as the people we got into this industry, behind and in front of the camera. That was always the goal. It's like if I got in, I was gonna try and bring as many motherfuckers with me as possible. I said, be like public enemy, bum rush the show. Cause we're coming in here. Malcolm X. We're getting ready to shoot Malcolm X. And we're meeting with the Teamsters. I say, sir, Tommy O'Donnell. I said, sir, do you have any black Teamsters? He says, no. I said, that's a problem. I said, until you get some black Teamsters, we're gonna have the Fruit of Islam drive trucks. And if you wanna come to the set and fuck with the Fruit of Islam, come on. Next day, 5 black Teamsters showed up. But some people don't do that, but I don't care about that. I knew I had to make changes like that, or we wouldn't be where we are today. In closing, I always say this, but if it's been redundant, then please forgive me. I want to thank my grandmother. Sam, you met my grandma, Zimmy Shelton Lee. She Her grandmother was a slave, yet she graduated with a college degree. And for 50 years, she taught art. Van Gogh was her favorite painter. For 50 years, she taught art in the state of Georgia, and for 50 years, she never had one white student because of Jim Crow laws in that state. And for 50 years, white students missed on a great art teacher. And for 50 years, my grandmother saved her Social Security checks for her grandchildren's education. And since I was the firstborn, I had first dibs. So my grandmother, through 50 years of saving her Social Security checks, put me through Morehouse, put me through NYU Film School, gave me the money for my thesis film, and then gave me the money for She's Gotta Have It. And I want to commend the President Cheryl Boone Isaacs, because she's trying to do something that needs to be done. I don't know if you noticed, but the United States Census Bureau says by the year 2043, white Americans are going to be a minority in this country. And for all the people out there who are in position of hiring, you better get smart, because your workforce should reflect what this country looks like. And I'm gonna get real here. Everybody in here probably voted for Obama, but when I go to offices, I ain't see no black folks except brother man at the security guard who checks my name off the list as I go into the studio. So we could talk, yabba yabba yabba, but we need to have some serious discussion about diversity and get some flavor up in this. This industry is so behind sports, it's ridiculous. It's easier to be the President of the United States as a black person than be the head of studio. Honest. It's easier to be the President of the United States than to be head of a studio or head of a network. Let's leave Oprah out of it. She doesn't count. So, President, keep it going. I know it's tough. We've got a long way to go. Peace and love to people in France. And my last thing is Brooklyn in the house. Brooklyn's in the house. Thank you very much.